I'm Tata Babs.
And I'm Amy Melons.
This is the Booby Trap Podcast. Wine, films, murder.
Trap. Big, beautiful booby trap.
With this podcast, we delve into the world of classic crime and murder films, paired with the perfect wine. Today, we pair the twist of spice and floral notes of a Traminette to match the elegant suspense and sly humor of the film, The Lady Vanishes. So we're going to go ahead and start with our wine tasting. The grape varietal today we're trying is Traminette. What's interesting about Traminette, so it's a white wine, and it's actually a result from a cross between Gewürztraminer, I can say.
Gewürztraminer.
You should know this. You were just in Germany.
I know.
Come on.
Yeah.
And the Jens Save, but 23.416. So you're asking, what is this grape varietal with all these numbers? Well, it's something that was created by this French biochemist, and he used Sebel wine grape hybrids, and this was started back in like the 1860s. So he's actually the guy who created the Chambourcin grape. Coming back to the Traminette, so this cross varietal was actually made in 1965 at the University of Illinois. And the intention essentially was to create a large cluster table grape that had that sweeter flavor of the wine I cannot pronounce, the German wine.
Gewürztraminer.
There you go.
German, I know, is what it has to do with wine.
Well, of course, that's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Wine is grown in the U.S. For the sweetness, it's semi-dry. Acidity, it's high. For the smell, it's usually pretty floral with some spicy and light fruity notes. So thinking like lychee, apricot, orange blossom, maybe some like white pepper in there. As for taste, usually the flavors are more like ripe apples and pears, maybe some violets and apple blossoms. Now, I don't personally eat flowers, but I guess others that do, it tastes like some violets and apple blossoms.
Oh, it's nice.
A lot of times you're going to go ahead and pair this sort of wine with, for like a main, chicken, seafood, maybe some sushi, or like pasta with a cream sauce, such as like fettuccine Alfredo, which is making me hungry, even though I know we ate recently, but still. And then in terms of cheese, you'd pair it like with a Munster. Blue cheeses like Stilton, Roquefort, and then semi-hard cheeses like Gouda and Gruyere. And as for desserts, apple pie, peach cobbler, cheesecake. Once again, making me a little hungry here. That's a little bit about that sort of wine. Today we're opening a bottle of 2022 Traminette from Mazzaroth Vineyard. So this vineyard is it's located over in Middletown, Maryland, which is near Frederick, Maryland. And what's kind of interesting is Frederick actually has a magician show out there that happens on the weekends. So there is a magician in this movie that we're going to watch. So it's kind of an interesting little pairing there.
It's magic.
A little connection.
Connected.
It's connected. This wine is going to have notes of honeysuckle and melon, and then it's suggested that the pairing would be like with some grilled chicken, sushi, and I think definitely cheesecake, which is great. We both like to try new wineries, especially on road trips and exploring other countries. So this location was actually discovered on such a road trip. The owner, Gary, was a wonderful host and extremely informative, and the views from the porch were gorgeous. But if you do decide to go check that out, be sure to make a reservation to visit.
Okay.
So with that, I think we're going to go ahead and do a tasting.
Okay.
The first thing we do is the sight. So the question is, what color would you say this wine is?
I think it has a green tint to it.
Do you? Yeah, a little bit of pale green, maybe some straw, maybe a combination between those two. Mm-hmm. Very nice.
Very nice.
And then smell, it does have some floral. I almost feel like jasmine, but I think I get my florals mixed up sometimes. But
I don't have that problem.
I definitely smell some flowers, some florals there. maybe some apricot. I'm not smelling like any spiciness to it per se.
Well, it just said it just had
Like a hint.
a hint of white pepper, so probably not gonna pick up on that.
And then let's go ahead and do the taste. So once again, I think it's high acid, dry. It's this dry sweetness. I think that's that high the acidity
very
level.
acidic.
Yeah. I think having it nice and chilled and having it outside like on a summer day as it starts to get warmer and warmer. That's a nice thing where you sit down and just enjoy.
Well, I can see why it goes with like a pasta cheesecake, because a cheesecake in particular is so sweet, and this would cut through that sweetness very nicely.
Yeah.
And for fettuccine Alfredo, it's going to really bump up that flavor, because I love Alfredo, but sometimes the cream sauce can be a little muted, so you're really kind of elevating it with that. But I can see it. I can see why it would pair nicely with those things.
I can also see like kind of where it almost has almost like a citrusy flavor too. So it's something where maybe you can't have citrus, but you can have that hint of citrus through the wine itself. So as you're talking about like the creamy sauce, right? Where it kind of can add that flavor to it a little bit more. And I think as you continue to sip it, right, it definitely kind of mellows out on your tongue. I think I'm tasting a little bit more of the like apricot-y type fruit on there too, which is very nice. Yeah. Well, very nice. So with that, we're going to go ahead and transition to watching the film while we drink our wine here. Mamie, do you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit of background on the film?
Sure. We're getting ready to watch The Lady Vanishes, circa 1938. There are some other versions, but this is the Hitchcock version, Alfred Hitchcock. And of course, that makes it the best version. And of course, so we all know that Alfred Hitchcock is the master of suspense, and he directed well over 50 feature films in a career that spanned about 6 decades. So occasionally he remade his own films, such as The Man Who Knew Too Much, 1934 and 1956, Murder, 1930, and German language version film.
So it's Mary. So Murder, and then Mary is the other version of it, but it was German language. So kind of a strange. Yeah, and it was like a year later. So I mean, maybe there was an interest, and that's why that happened. But
maybe
unique for sure.
So of course, Hitchcock is legendary, and his techniques that he used in the film have been used in films since then, over and over and over again, with even with the cinematography that go into the films. So this particular story follows an English tourist. Her name is Iris Henderson. She's played by Margaret Lockwood, and she's traveling by train in continental Europe. And she befriends an elderly governess, Miss Froy, who's played by May Whitty. But after a mysterious incident, Miss Froy disappears, and no one on the train seems to remember her. So Iris teams up with a young musicologist named Gilbert Redmond. He's played by Michael Redgrave, to uncover the truth behind the disappearance. Delve into each character. Margaret Lockwood, as I said, plays Iris Henderson, the English tourist. Miss Lockwood had a pretty big career in the 30s and 40s, doing films such as Lorna Doone and The Wicked Lady. Michael Redgrave is the musicologist, Gilbert Redmond. You may know him from The Importance of Being Earnest, many, many other films, but also of note is that he is the father of a couple of other Oscar winners, which is Lynn and Vanessa Redgrave.
I don't think I know Lynn Redgrave, but I definitely know Vanessa Redgrave.
Lynn was, if I'm remembering correctly, now you're making me remember correctly, she was in a movie about an overweight girl, and now I'm drawing a blank on the name of the film, but I'll figure it out before we're through this one.
Okay.
She was not as prevalent as her sister. Georgie, was it Georgie Girl? Georgie Girl.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Whew,
I have seen that movie. Okay.
So her career was not as big as Vanessa's, but definitely a pretty good career.
Yeah.
Then we have Dame May Whitty. I love that name. I love to be May Whitty, and she plays Miss Froy. And she was in a couple of other,
Pretty well-known films.
Suspicion, which is another Alfred Hitchcock film, and a film, very famous film with Ingrid Bergman and Charles Boyer, Gaslight.
Which is where you get that term,
yes,
being gaslit.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is.
So just really quick for your awareness. So the Lady Vanishes is actually based on the 1936 novel called The Wheel Spins by Ethel Lena White. And so it, the book essentially provides that foundation for the film's plot and its characters. But what's kind of interesting is that the story was actually based on a legend of an English woman who disappeared from a hotel room in Paris during the 1880s. And so this legend became known as the Vanishing Hotel Room. And it involved like a mother and a daughter staying at this palace hotel during the Great Exposition. And so the mother essentially is taken ill and the daughter is sent for medicine. When she returns to the room, the wallpaper have changed and her mother's nowhere to be found. So it's actually makes me think of, have you ever read the book, The Devil in White City?
No.
Okay. It's essentially about the exposition in Chicago where the Ferris wheel was created, as well as
H.H. Holmes?
Yes.
Yes. That I know.
But anyway, like this idea of like, well, the rooms changed and
First thing
people disappeared. Like so many people disappeared during that time
that was the World Fair, right?
The World's Fair,
so,
yeah.
H.H. Holmes was a notorious, prolific serial killer.
Yeah.
So the book I did not know, a serial killer. Yes.
But it's interesting because it has like the two parts of that kind of time
and the
period.
first thing I thought, which disappeared, that's the first person I thought of because of the time period and where it was. I still can't figure out how he re-wallpapered, but
well, or did they somehow like there's so many crooks and crannies in these halls that you were like on the wrong floor or whatever. But
yeah, we just went to that museum in DC and you couldn't, I was twisted and turned around. So I can see how it could happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Anyway, so once again, an interesting connection of a kind of a legendary story, but also connections when you start thinking about it of other stories out there where a lot of people were coming into Chicago, right, for the World's Fair there, and essentially they never returned home for various reasons, being murdered, thrown into prostitution, all sorts of things. Yeah. So a lot of people kind of got lost because there's hundreds of thousands of people coming through,
right?
So and then it's like this big area of trains coming through, trains leaving. Anyway. So with that, I think we'll go ahead and turn on the movie and get started with The Lady Vanishes. Okay. Ooh, I'm enjoying this music already.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There's that music that they'll bring in throughout the film.
I don't think
I realized that before, but
yeah,
interesting. It was just like that one piece of it, though. Interesting. This part.
Continuity. And here we roll credits. Now, when I see credits like this, I watch them all the way to the end. Just because...
Because look, there's Googie Withers.
Yeah.
She's in... That's... Okay, wait. She's Blanche. I have to figure out who Blanche is because she's in some other films. I don't think I ever realized she was in this.
That's why I always watch credits like this to the end, because you'd be surprised. The actor, might be big actors,
right,
that had started out with these little small roles in films like this. You just never know who you might see.
Well, I love this scene with the miniaturization of the town. I don't know. I think I just like that sort of stuff.
Well, what I like is he makes it look purposeful instead of cheap. And I saw so many, the ways the porches and all that.
I mean, like even the car drives by.
Yeah. So many, all the houses there were like that in this particular area with those not patios, but balconies like that. So that is a real take on it.
I mean, like they had a bird that's in a bird cage that you see for a split second.
Yeah.
So a lot of the details in there for sure.
Well, you also keep in mind, I think, like you see what they're doing here, is this talkies hadn't, were still kind of new, newish. So when you watch it, you'll see a lot of, you can almost see it that if it didn't have sound. And so visuals were very important because, and sometimes a little over dramatizing too.
Right.
And it's like,
I don't think we ever really know where technically they're located at, but that sounded kind of Italian to me, didn't it? But I'm not a linguist either, so
right.
We're not many things.
Oh,
we're not sommeliers.
Yeah.
We're not lawyers.
Linguists, you name it. We're not
sure.
it. Yeah. We're just two ladies drinking wine, watching a movie.
Exactly.
I'm perfectly happy with that.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Cheers. So it is very interesting. So I have read the book and watched all the different remakes. So the remake that's made in the 70s, that's definitely closer to the Hitchcock.
Little Shepherd?
Yeah, exactly. And then there's the one in, I think it's 2012, I believe. I don't think I have it at hand, but that one actually is very much closely aligned to the book. And so there's definitely some differences. If you watch both, you'll see the differences. Essentially, there's more hotel guests that interact for a longer period of time, so there's more relationships that go on. I know Iris had a bigger group of friends that were very obnoxious, and so she pretty much, when she was by herself, she had like no one really to like, no friends or anything like that, and she's kind of isolated herself from those other people. So I don't think that helped the situation either.
Yeah, and I don't think this was Hitchcock's first. Margaret Lockwood was not his first pick for this role. Or so the rumor. Later on in his career, he had a penchant, if you pay attention to the movies, for blondes. Big thing for the blondes. And had lots of crushes. Gosh, it's hard to think. This is 1938, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So war hadn't even swept through here yet.
That's true. Well, and I think that actually, so when you look at the Sybil Shepherd, so the 70s one, they kind of indicate a lot more of like the Nazis and stuff like that. Whereas this one doesn't.
Right.
There's like the starting point of it, right? Like there's a lot of political things going on, but that's not really the focus, right?
Right. I'm confused why there's an Italian innkeeper in Germany.
Right. I was like, well, and they don't do subtitles, so you don't know what they're really saying. It's just, here's someone that speaks a different language. And of course, I guess Americans during this time wouldn't know anything about other languages. So
makes sense to me.
It's just a lot of gibberish.
Well,
right?
we talked about this. We talked this in a couple of the other episodes that we're looking at it from our current worldview.
Right.
And we're more critical, where this was still a new medium.
Yeah, that's true.
And so they didn't think about like, oh, why is the Italian guys speaking, in the German end?
Yeah, but it is talking about very racy things, because if you think about it, like this is that couple, the man and the woman, they're having an affair.
They're having an affair.
They're both married. Now, these two gentlemen are definitely not in the original storyline, but and they were specifically made for the film. It's Charters and Caldecott, something. They actually became so popular that they actually appeared in 10 more films together. And also, they had a radio program, and then later they had a TV series.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Kind of a nasty scar on his face, though.
He does. I mean, he's when you see him in the films, that's kind of his
thing. He's got the J. Memorial scar. Made him
it must though.
Made him a star.
And it is interesting. The book, the newer film, the beginning part is very long.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is like when the book was written, like you have these like sweeping, like, really you're kind of describing the scenery. Like she's going on a walk in the mountains, and there's this scene over here, she gets lost, all this sort of stuff. I think it's just the era of like when those books were done, or like Radcliffe type of things, where it's like you read one of these books and it's just like, okay, I just read like 5 chapters of just scenery. Like when's the action going to happen? Oh, so it's pretty risque. Like, look at all this female
Legs.
legs.
But there was a scene earlier where the girl's kind of looking at her, and it feels a little awkward because there's nothing really being said, and that's where I can see silent films where it's just like the panning in and just seeing facial expressions.
Oh, right.
And now it just feels like say or do something. There's nothing going on in that scene except that.
Yeah.
He said something to her, and she's just like smile, half smile, eyebrow raise. It's like, move along. And I think you see that several times in this because there's a few. It's very, very good, but because of that, it's just like, okay, that's a little awkward because the scene seems, especially since there's no music. Sometimes the scene kind of lingers. You're like, and we're used to films having all the music and being fast and all these things.
Right.
And it's like, okay, let's move along. The Germans showed up.
Yeah, I know. It's like this. Okay, so the language sounds different now.
Yeah,
it sounds much
the Germans showed up.
more German or dramatic. Well, these two gentlemen were like dressing for dinner.
Oh,
just
yeah.
Like,
Can you imagine
this quaint inn? I feel like that's like more
Did the
Scandinavian.
I was gonna say, did the Swedes show up too? Lordy, this is a virtual melting pot here.
Uh-oh. Why is she getting dressed?
I think she's Swedish. And I don't think bras have been invented yet.
I mean, they had corsets, I guess, but
Yeah, but that's not a bra.
no,
So-
it actually is not. No,
That's a booby trap right there.
Or is it a lack of booby trap?
Yeah, one of the two. When were bras invented? Anybody knows? Please put it on Instagram or one of the other social pages. When were bras invented? When did the fun get ruined?
Hello. London? Well, Mr. Simpson? Yes. Hold on. I'm going right to find you.
Ooh, they're pretty excited, London. Oh, okay. So 1914, the first modern bra was patented by New York. What's her name?
Her name is Carice Crosby, born Mary Phelps Jacob. So, and she was frustrated with her corset. Whalebone. Whalebone. I hope they mean that in a figurative terms. I hate to think whales gave up their life to make a corset.
No, I think they probably did initially because they did whales for the oils to burn for all that. So
2 handkerchiefs and a ribbon to create some cleavage. Well, there you are.
well, I mean, essentially, it sounds like it was like a bikini top.
Yeah. And people, if you're wondering why we strayed into that, remember what podcast you're watching? Booby trap. So it fits right in to talk about a booby holder, right?
Absolutely.
Alrighty there. Mine would have to be more like a towel than a handkerchief, though. A beach towel.
But there's still the politeness, despite his upset.
That's English for you. They can tell you, tell you to go to hell and make you look forward to the trip.
Andrika is where they're located at.
Oh.
I don't know where that is, but
Is it a fictional town?
I don't know. Well, they said kind of the area, so I don't know if it's
Well,
the town
it must be the
or-
crossroads between Sweden, Germany, and Italy.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
That's cute. The story, the visual of the mommy and the daddy.
Uh-oh. She hears the musical lure.
So once again, interesting kind of difference between the books. So, essentially all the main characters are going to be meeting each other at the hotel, whereas really
This is storytelling. This is what
right.
this
It's
is.
more of a storytelling.
You'd never get anybody to come go see a movie with this much storytelling at the front end.
Oh no,
They'd already be on the train killing each other by now.
oh, absolutely. Very annoyed.
Hello?
I guess in a way, I'm surprised that they have telephones in the rooms
Yeah.
because it seems very rustic. But maybe that was just the maid's room. Someone's playing musical chairs with an elephant.
She made her Hollywood film debut, Dame Whitty.
Uh-huh.
It's 72.
Oh, wow.
Is that crazy? Well, it explains why I've never seen a young version of her. Yeah.
Well, you know what?
Isn't that crazy?
People do different things. So my mom actually did a commercial back, like in her late 60s, right? Like, that was not her career. It was just something to do after retirement. I kind of wonder if this was something for her. Like, hey.
It doesn't have to mean starting from scratch.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Those are addictive.
I think initially you're kind of going, is he drawing them or what's
Yeah.
going on? But
Yeah.
obviously he's, looks like musical notes, but. I wouldn't say they're the most graceful.
No.
It does seem like elephants jumping around on the floor there.
Like debonair he was.
It's like freeze.
And they did.
She's still posing. It's like the most
have-
awkward of dances.
They have zero rhythm.
I think she's doing pretty good, but the two guys are not doing so well. They lack a certain amount of grace, that's for sure. Well, I guess money does everything, huh? So it is interesting, the two gentlemen in the bed.
Well, what's more interesting is one's wearing the pajama top and
the other
one's wearing the
the
pajama bottoms.
That's like a typical classic film woman-man scenario where the woman's wearing the top and the man's wearing the bottoms.
So one's the top and one's the bottom.
And it's not clear why they had to do that.
I don't know. But
Maybe-
it's not to show us his legs, I don't think, because those were unimpressive.
Now, the fact that this guy is able to just walk into her room, like it's not locked or
People
anything.
are just going in and out all over the place.
But you have telephones. I don't understand. You should have locks too.
This reminds me so much of It Happened One Night.
Oh, yeah.
So there's some of this is Hitchcock's humor and suspense that he blends together so well.
Uh-huh.
Now this is kind of like a comedy thriller to some extent, isn't it?
It is. It has that humorous piece, which they're kind of adding more of the humor right now, right?
Yeah, I mean this later on you see it in Tracy and Hepburn and
It's
It
like
Happened
the
One Night.
wittiness, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it reminds me of
It's like the witty banter that goes back and forth
Yeah.
between the main characters, or the two that are kind of the love.
well, this is romantic
connection there.
comedy at its finest. They start out hating each other,
Yeah.
then they're in trouble together, learn that they love each other.
Well, you're kind of adding that romance piece for, let's say, maybe the female population, but then the suspense and the thriller part for the male population. So you're getting both enjoying the film together, right?
Well, it makes you care about them a little bit more too, because they're not, stiff and wooden.
They're a bit more likable.
Yeah,
Actually, a lot more likable than the original characters.
yeah,
Or especially the girl, especially Iris.
yes.
She
Because
is very much unlikable.
because in some film noirs, you don't really. If everybody gets it, you'd be just fine.
Right.
Everybody's despicable, and the ones that aren't being despicable are big crybabies, and so get away with all of them.
Dun, 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 dun.
What is
Dun, dun, dun,
that's
dun,
the war
dun.
song?
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I'm trying to think what
It was in the bridge over River, over River Kwai, and it is a military tune, but do not ask me which one.
I think when you say military, that makes
Can
more
you hear?
sense.
Can you hear it? The whistling.
Yes.
If I could whistle, you can do it.
Yes. Okay. Yep.
That's my whistling ability.
Mine isn't much better. Honestly.
Yeah, well, it probably doesn't help that I got a mouthful of chai seeds, which you'll probably be finding over your living room floor
loving
eventually.
the song that just goes over and over and over again.
Feels like she's being serious.
Uh-oh. Look at those hands. Ooh, the shadow. You like the shadow?
Yeah. Well, that's the cinematography I was
Yeah.
talking about, and those type of things are used to date a lot in film noir.
I mean, the hands coming up behind
Yeah.
them. You don't know what's going to happen.
But
Because, you know what? It could have switched. It could have been something totally fine, right? You never knew.
yes, exactly. But nothing against you, Hitchcock. That was done to perfection much earlier than this in Nosferatu.
Yes. I was kind of thinking about that a bit, right? With the shadows
So
coming
you-
for, yeah. And really, the shadows in that film are what make it just such a great film, I think.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
It is a good opinion.
Them and their cricket.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's the... Okay, so everyone's at the train station. And that's right. Iris is actually going home to get married, which she seems super thrilled about.
Yeah, she acts like she's being sold the gypsies or something.
I think her parents
No,
are... I think
no
her parents are
gypsies.
more excited than anything, so...
Now, no gypsies need to write in or get on Instagram saying that I'm anti-gypsy. I am not. Please don't write in and say I am.
So Miss Froy dropped her glasses, and Iris picks them up to give it to her. Once again, this just shows like how much nicer they made her in this film.
But also,
from the book.
There's foreshadowing there. It was meant to knock out Miss.
Yeah, that flower
Froy.
pot was supposed to hit Miss Froy, knock her out or kill her.
Yeah.
So now she's been hit in the head with something very heavy, falling from a pretty good height. So I know my head would be hurting, to say the least.
Oh yeah.
I'm surprised she didn't faint.
Well, I think this brings into where this was a necessary part of the story, so that we keep the audience wondering.
Like, what's going on?
Is this really happening, or
I think
is she
as you
hallucinating?
See, right, as you see her, it like blurs out, and then you see this blurring in and out.
And she passes
the train.
out,
Oh, this watery effect with the friends
like they
and
used
the
to do.
yeah.
Like the effect, like you're going into a dream,
right? Or like the train wheels, kind of interesting.
So it is plausible to the audience that what happens from this point forward is due to a head injury.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't thought about that, but I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like, it gives it a different perspective, right? What I do think, though, is that if that happened and they had never met, that's what makes it more... I've made up all these people because I've never seen them before, versus she has met Miss Froy. And I think that's the difference between the book. That's the big difference between the book and this film, is that they've already met. But if they hadn't met, like, that makes it even more like, oh, maybe I'm totally making this person up. No one's seen her, but obviously other people have seen her before at the hotel. We saw her too.
We know
we knew she was at the hotel. Other people knew she was at the hotel. She was sitting with people eating together. So that does make it a different dynamic, right? Like the storyline there. But I still like the idea of like this could be a dream or
because anything from this point forward could be. I mean, Lord knows they've wrote off entire TV shows to the concept it was all a dream. 7 seasons of your life. Over with.
Oh, what's the one? Newhart.
Yeah.
The one where he was up. No, wait, he was up in the
inn, the
inn, and then he woke up, and then he was back in his other show or something.
Yeah, where he was a psychologist back in the 70s. The Bob Newhart show.
Yeah.
But there's been several shows that when they wrote themselves into a corner on the plot, gotten themselves out of it by dismissing the last 2 or 3 seasons, saying that person was just dreaming. It's just because they get to a place where, or find out the audience didn't particularly like where the plot went to, or where the show went. Roseanne did that, where they won the lottery and all this other stuff, and then the last season they wrap it up that the entire show was her writing a book and imagining the whole thing. So it's been used as to fill in plot holes.
Her specialty.
Yeah.
My name's Iris Henderson. I'm going home to be married.
Rita Hayworth's Mexican. Believe it or not. Electrolysis, hair dye.
Because usually she's shown as like a redhead, right? Or very like auburn.
She had a unibrow at one time.
Well, didn't we all at one point?
Yeah. They turned her into Rita Hayworth.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there she writes her name, Froy, on the window. Okay. I mean, or you could have just said it right then and there. Okay, that's that sound piece, right? Like, they had to have all that sound so that they could then make it so she wrote her name on the window. Then immediately after that, oh, no more sound. And I think that is interesting where there's very minimal sound as part of this film, which is really like a great way to emphasize.
It's a very good way to do it because I just saw a movie not too long ago and it made it more suspenseful because instead of having where when the scary part or where the jump scare or wherever that was, it would start the music, pump it up, and you knew it was. You kind of could steel yourself that it was coming. But I saw one that had nothing, and it's like you just had to. You never knew when it was coming at you.
Yeah,
It was
even creepier.
Yeah. It is. It's creepy, and
it keeps you on edge, right? More on edge for a longer period of time. I was trying to read the top.
Earning a degree doesn't have to mean starting from scratch.
Oh, so once again, that's a model with the train going over. So some of that must be painted.
I would think so
because I don't think they built that entire bridge. It's probably some child's like train set, and then they just painted it to look like there's this massive bridge that they're going across.
You can totally see Godzilla walking up, knocking that train right
off. Oh, absolutely.
Now
that handkerchief.
No. This dress.
I don't know, like the neck scarf thing.
It looks like a handkerchief
or a napkin. Yeah, it's been tucked into her shirt.
For when you you tuck it in so you don't get stuff on you when you drip.
It's like the lobster, right? The lobster.
Lobster bib.
Yeah,
but it looks like looks like she got up for lunch and forgot to take her napkin off.
Yeah. So once again, as you see, like the movement and the tracks and all this sort of stuff, like once again,
there's where the sound. The only time the sound is.
Yeah, the train, like certain parts with the sound. So screen time they're using for that. But once again, she's fallen asleep. Here's another piece of her reality.
Here's part three. Here's part three.
Creepy guy watching you as you sleep.
All the people are there except Miss Froy.
Well, she's ready for lunch. She has her bib on.
So. I know. That's what should have disappeared. Maybe that is what it is because holy cow.
I feel like she's trying to hypnotize you.
Yeah.
She's saying there's been no English lady here.
You're still a chicken.
Click, 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 click. Have you seen the newer version?
I have not.
If and when you get a chance to see that, you'll notice a distinct difference between personalities.
Okay.
And she is definitely nicer.
I will put that. That's the Sybil Shepherd one, right?
No. I did not like that one at all.
Oh.
The one that's the newest one.
2019.
Was it 12 or 19? I don't know. She's very closely related to what's in the book, and there's no wonder that no one's really helping her. How about that? she's frosty to everyone. How about that?
She got
So it just expands like who's all involved, because obviously the guy who served tea,
right,
was already part of the plot from the very get-go, right?
Right. There's that humor. Did you hear what he just said? I did not catch that before. Something fell on my head. He said, in infancy? Oh. Wow. What a takedown.
Well, I think sometimes that wittiness is so fast, you're trying to pay attention.
I did not catch that.
And there's no subtitles or closed captions, so we
can't
follow along as well.
But he just zinged that right.
Oh, yeah.
That was funny.
Okay, Italian.
I don't know who anybody is anymore. I just know there's
I mean, the fact that he knows this brain specialist as a musicologist is weird.
Now we got to check the public involved.
It's very confusing.
It is
Among other things, a cranial fracture with compression. Do you understand?
So I want to keep an eye out because apparently in this, and see if we can find it. Oh, this might help. So I want to watch it through this lens of that Hitchcock would use lighting and use to highlight who the good and the bad characters are. I want to see if we can figure it out from that way because just a minute ago, that little guy, the dark guy, she said, was in a dark shadow, while the other three were well lit, I think. But I want to see if that actually plays out here because that's considered one of his one of his techniques.
Brown shoes.
This is so funny. She's describing Miss Froy, and she's like, she cannot remember what her face looks like, what her hair looks like,
Yeah.
but when she talks about like what she's dressed in, she's very like detailed and
Yeah.
specific.
Yeah.
She's very much at the clothes. How about
Yeah.
that?
Mhm.
I'm afraid not.
So I think out of all of the actors, or the individuals that are on the train, the one that is closest resembling from the book is actually the couple that's having an affair.
Okay.
They're almost like word for word a lot of the stuff that comes out of that, which is interesting.
Mhm.
Now, when we talk about the two English gentlemen that always are talking about cricket, I feel like they're an amalgamation of like a bunch of different characters that you actually don't see in the film, but were talked about in the movie, or I'm sorry, talked about in the book, and who were guests at the hotel. So it's like,
That happens sometimes when they do
Yeah.
the screenplay or they bring a book to film. They'll just roll a few characters and have it, in one character.
yeah,
Mainly because you have to be more concise in filming a movie than you
Sure.
meandering through a book.
well, I mean, even when you look at the other films, like they're not going to go with all the backstory, so you kind of
Right.
miss out on all of that, which actually explains. So when you read that book, it actually explains why people are not like saying, "Oh yes, I saw her." Like they're all keeping this hush hush, and everyone has a reasoning, right? Like the
Right.
couple that's having an affair, they don't want to be like get in trouble,
Exposed,
like
yeah.
get exposed about that. Obviously, like I said, these two guys are kind of,
They're kind of on
A role-
the fringe, right?
but they're more like, for them, they need to get to England, right? They need to get to this cricket match, which yes, there's a
So they
couple.
don't want any.
They don't want
pauses,
anything
any
to stop,
eruptions.
right?
That's why, like,
Which is
she's gonna
a set
stop
of
the train.
another characters that
Right.
are in the book. Then there's also kind of a storyline, like kind of we don't want to, we've had this stuff happen before, and we don't want to have that affect us in
Right.
future, which is related to another two characters that are identified in the book. So it's actually kind of interesting, like, but you don't get all that background, which actually then explains you're going like the aha moment. Like
Right.
I understand why they're reluctant. Otherwise, you're just like, what jerks,
Right.
right? There's no rhyme or reason for them to deny it, right? That she was there,
Right.
So kind of interesting.
Well, there's something afoot.
He just like the doctor does seem like he would be a detective, right? I don't know. He has that like detective feel.
I'm thinking if we pay attention to this somewhere along the line, that whole, because every scene, even though it seems random with Hitchcock, everything is leading you to something. They're either red herrings or they're foreshadowing. Nothing's random in his plots, even though they seem like they're random. For example, when what seemed like it was almost silliness that she's standing in that window, Miss Froy is listening to that guy below. We're like, oh, he's serenading, and she's listening, and she's listening, and it keeps going on and on and on. And when you see that you're like, what does this have to do with the rest of the movie? But it does.
Yeah.
And that's where you have to be patient with Hitchcock, and why his movies were always so good is because if you're patient and you pay attention, it's going to get you there.
Right. The thing is trying to remember all the pieces
Yeah.
along the way.
You
Right?
just
You almost
have
need like a notebook. Go, oh, interesting.
You have
that happened here.
You have to pay attention because it's like, aha.
You know what? It's like being a detective. We're trying to be a detective as we watch this film. What's going on?
That's exactly right.
Putting all the
You gotta
pieces together
pay
at the
attention.
end.
That's exactly right. So he's leaving clues. If you pay, now they call them Easter eggs.
Yeah.
So another one of his directorial type of that's been used director style throughout the years. There's little Easter eggs. You gotta find them.
That girl was making a fuss. If the woman had disappeared, and I'd admitted having seen her, we might become title witness.
So I was trying to figure out if it was this woman that was Googie Withers, but it's not. It's not the woman who's having the affair.
Uh-huh.
So I was thinking that was Googie Withers, but I don't think so. I think it might have been one of the friends that was with Iris at the beginning, like at the hotel.
Yeah, because this is
because it's like her eyes. There's something, but
that's just playing.
Okay,
Florence
yeah.
Lyndon Travers.
Yeah, it was just like they look kind of similar, but they definitely are not the
their
same
eye shape is
person.
different.
But it's kind of interesting. So this Googie, so she was actually, her name is Georgette Lizette Withers, but she got that nickname from her Punjabi nanny.
Oh wow.
So,
yeah, that's not her.
no, it's not.
The woman having the affair.
I mean, she kind of has similar eyes, but I think
Is she
it's
the
definitely
the nun?
No.
No?
I think she was definitely a friend. That was because one of the friends that was like at the hotel, of the 3 gorgeous girls with all their legs and everything. Googie was she was born in Pakistan, and she ended up dying in Australia. But once again, it sounds like she had a little bit of an interesting international lifestyle of some kind. Yeah, so her nationality was British and Pakistani. Interesting. So the reason why I brought up Googie is because I know her from the Jane Austen film Northanger Abbey, where she was the one hostess. So anyway, I recognized the name because it's unique, right?
Right.
I wouldn't have noticed her. I wouldn't have recognized her though in her youth. She definitely looks very different.
Yeah.
She's like in her teens or her 20s versus in her 70s. So so this is where. And the fact that she can't remember what Miss Froy's face really looks like, but it's all about her clothing. So throwing another person in Miss Froy's outfit is genius if you think about it, right?
Well,
because it throws off the scent like immediately. It makes it like, oh yeah, well you must have just forgotten what her face really looked like, right?
It also goes to how reliable eyewitness testimony is, right?
Oh, right. Right, that like
she's had a traumatic event and now she's expected to remember what this lady looks like. Now think about it when it's in real life.
It's that witness reliability, right?
Right.
And so when we talk about that witness, credibility or reliability of a witness, having a credible witness is going to be someone who's exhibiting those traits of honesty and accuracy and reliability. So when they're testifying against, scenario that happened, let's say the judge or whoever they're talking to, the jury, they're going to find that statement to be truthful, right? Just based off of that kind of, that
right. Exactly.
It could be their demeanor. It could be, the way that they present themselves. And I think, you have a lot of British people, so they're going to rely on, they're British. So they're going to be more reliable than someone who's not of that nationality. And I'm sure that's for, other nationalities too. So.
The issue with it, I think, is that when people testify to it or whatever, they're absolutely convinced of it. They're not telling the truth.
Right.
They believe what they're saying, and they believe what. So that's a hard one. That's a hard, which makes them come through more convincing, which is a hard thing to get around evidence wise.
No.
But it's not the most reliable form of evidence at all.
Well, it's interesting because I was just and see, she had that like double over, and now everyone's face looks like Miss Froy, even the guys.
Yeah. Well, but that was an improvement. Oy. Wow. She's not a happy camper.
So what's interesting is that idea of, that reliability of an eyewitness. So there's this something on TV, right, where it talked about this woman, a guy broke into her house, assaulted her, pretty much stabbed her, so she was essentially about to die. So she got stabbed like 19 times or something like that.
Oh wow.
Luckily she actually, I see Froy there.
Never noticed that
in the window. You can kind of barely see it, right?
Always something going on.
The shadow, the lights, right?
Anyway, I'm sorry.
Anyway, so based on, and she's like, I watched this person. He knew, like, I watched everything that was happening. I saw everything that he touched. I had hours and hours with this guy in my face, etc. I'm not going to forget.
Right.
And it was weird. Like this guy that looked, like the guy that attacked her was then like in front of her house praying for her. He was really suspicious. He did things like that the killer kind of did. But at the end of the day, it came back that he was not the guy.
Right.
And that was through the DNA testing that had been done. And they actually found out it was some other guy. And initially she's like, no, that can't be him. But they actually showed a picture back when he was like during the time period that this happened. Because this has been like now 9 years later or something like that, maybe more. And the two guys look very similar. Oh, and by the way, this guy actually happened to be living close by too in the other trailer park. So once again, she was for sure, this is not the guy, it's this other guy, and she happened to be wrong.
It happens, and there's been recently men that have been released from prison after serving 2 decades. The DNA exonerated them, and they were convicted due to the testimony. The least reliable of all of them, in my opinion. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
There should be something to corroborate that. And now that we have DNA evidence and things of that nature, that needs to carry the day in most of them.
Well, look at her looking out the window. She's like, she almost like, I think she's seeing like the light shadows. She's like, I feel like I see it.
Yep.
Oh, and the train, right?
There
it's amazing how it just disappeared.
You saw it. You must have seen it. She's on the train.
Because they went into the tunnel and it disappeared.
No, we've got to find her. Something's happening to her. Stop the train. Listen, everybody, there's a woman on this train, Miss Floyd. Some of you must have seen her. They're hiding her. I appeal to you, all of you, to stop the train.
She does seem a little
overwrought,
right?
Yeah.
I know you think I'm crazy, but I'm not.
Well, and then you have a doctor that does brain type surgery and stuff. So, he's going to put his 2 cents in.
Now, do you think that was done rather than her screaming? The train sounds like it's screaming.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It only took him 10 minutes to restart, stop and start. Wow.
Well, yeah. See, they know she's real.
Yeah. So it's like each one's thinking something and then saying something, but not paying attention to the other. And they're like, what?
What?
It's a great conversation. It makes you want to watch another film later on to see how does it, if the film's just about them, how are they really working, interacting, and what is it that's so interesting that kept it for 10 more films and a radio show, etc., etc.
Right.
Oh, and I love how they just toss the trash
right out the window. Nice.
But what is being discovered? Is it Harriman's tea? So now he believes her. Now there's proof. I don't know, having the Baroness smoke a cigarette just seems odd. I feel like she should have one of those really long
ones, yeah.
Long ones. Or fancy. It would stain her gloves. I feel like she needs the cigarette sticks. Well, the good thing is she's gotten rid of her bib. But maybe it was to keep her chest warm, because there's a lot of chest now.
Well, such as it is.
She may be dead now.
I guess someone just stuck their head out and filmed while the train was running.
Maybe it's one of those, dollies,
maybe.
Moving dollies. He had a lot of tricks up in his sleeve when it came to filming things.
Ooh, is there someone in that basket? Super obvious, right? What does it say? Calf?
Calf. It's a calf in a basket. They really didn't need to open it. It says it on the top of it. Wonder why there's bars on the window of the train.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's the guy that keeps talking to her.
Yeah.
The little Weasley looking dark guy.
He's staring at her when she's sleeping and that. It's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
So he's in a top hat and cape. What's his name? What's going on? Doppo. His act is the Vanishing Lady. The name of the film.
Red herring. Another red herring. Could he be the one?
I mean, it's possible. He's a magician, so he knows a lot of tricks to get rid. And his most impressive act is vanishing ladies. So you know.
Disappearing him.
Oh, see, he vanished too.
I didn't ever notice that Michael Redgrave was so cheeky.
That thing turns fast.
Yeah, it did. She turned into
she got thrown out of that turnstile there. Oh, There just happens to be a Sherlock Holmes hat
Yeah. Oh, and a pipe.
and a pipe to talk about his theory.
In the first place, a little old lady disappeared. Everyone that saw her probably insisted she was never there before. Ruling this.
Some more of that romantic comedy going on. Professor.
Oh, which is holds up. It does.
He looks like, wait, did he play a professor in something? Because he looks very familiar in that setup.
I don't know a ton about Michael Redgrave's career.
Ooh, there's a hand. It's a random hand.
It's him, the Italian guy, the magician.
Oh my goodness. Seriously? You're gonna like fight over broken spectacles?
Yes, but
and I love how he just goes for the nose and twists the nose.
aren't they her spectacles?
Well, yes.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, he's just, if they were your spectacles and they fell and they broke, would you be that,
No,
like, I'm going to
No.
kill you for this?
no. I sure wouldn't tweak your nose.
That just seems, suspect.
And the bunny rabbit's watch.
Oh, well, she kicked well, but not the right person.
Yeah.
Oh, twisting the ears.
That still holds up. I'm sorry, it does. A good ear toggle.
You know what?
Break up any
Between the
fight.
nose twists and the ear tugs, and, well, she's getting elbowed in the face, but I mean, this is actually pretty funny to watch. Like, she's trying to get up, she can't get up.
Oh, and I have
Uh-oh. Ooh, there's a switchblade there.
that song he was humming that's been driving you nuts.
Yes.
Is called the Colonel Bogey March.
Bogey March, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Bite that hand.
Just make sure she's biting the right one.
Luckily, there's a knife in it, so there wasn't any confusion this time around. She keeps
Yeah, I'm under this. Well, we're getting somewhere at last. We definitely know that the squad was on his train. We know that our friend is here.
He used his own magic box to escape. I mean, if you do get captured, it is really important to be a magician, so you know how to get out of anything, really.
Yeah. Fake panels,
Yeah.
fake door,
I mean,
bottomless.
How to get out of a straitjacket. I mean, you never know
bottomless
when you have to
trunks.
use that skill.
Yeah. And then you throw in some doves and some bunnies and
Well, probably more like get out of handcuffs is probably more important.
oh yeah, that's really important. But they didn't handcuff anybody in this one.
Straitjacket is important though too, just in case.
Everybody's Houdini.
So it's interesting. His theory is like pretty much spot on from the very get go, and she's the one that's like, no, it couldn't have possibly been.
Yeah, they switch roles. Now all of a sudden he's all about it, and she's like, nah.
Yeah.
Maybe it didn't really happen.
Right.
Like, woman, make up your mind. She's wearing high heel shoes. Nuns don't wear high heel shoes.
I mean, once again, he is like spot on.
Oh my God,
here's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I don't know. I just don't think it makes any sense.
No, you seem a little out there.
That seems so.
But he's done a good job considering he
believes it more than she does at this point.
And he's doing a pretty good job considering he doesn't even have his pipe or his hat anymore.
That's true.
But yeah, he's figuring it all out. Boy, she really look the way she's restraining the air quote nun. Here, just stand back. No fight.
We want you to undo those bandages. Let us take a look at your patient's face. Are you out of your senses? There's no face there. Nothing but lumps of raw flesh.
That and very nicely mascaraed eyelashes.
Yes. Yes. Are they open or closed?
They were fluttering. I mean, that's also where you need to know Morse code so you can flutter your eyelashes.
Yes, that would come in handy.
So we have to like tick off all the things that we need to learn.
So if I'm
just in case.
Yeah. If I'm ever on a train, I disappear.
Yeah, you're kidnapped somehow.
And end up in bandages. I will flutter SOS.
Sounds good.
Please save me. I'm looking to you to do that. Figure it all out, okay?
Exactly. Oh, so the nun is obviously in on it.
Well, she's not. She's not a nun. Nuns don't wear high heels, right?
I don't know.
Mind is Hitchcock too. Now, one of the stewards is working, and now perhaps you'll tell me what's all about. Listen,
Well, so the whole thing is interesting too with the doctor, and they just believe everything that comes out of his mouth.
Oh yeah. Well, he's a doctor.
Well, a well-known one, I guess.
Yeah.
But
you know,
because Gilbert knows that too, surprisingly.
but they also made they believe they made house calls too. So, this is a different time.
Well, I mean, he's definitely more suave and
Yeah.
not as maybe sinister seeming.
Right.
Like if you see him in other films, like he definitely has more of a sinister look and feel. He just seems like
Well,
a very
that's-
nice guy that's just trying to help out. And
Oh, but he's got that thin pencil mustache.
well,
That's
that is a villainous type mustache
No
for sure.
good can come from it.
So back, gosh, this has now been a while ago. When I used to live in the California Bay Area, they used to have a place you could go to where they did those plays where it was like you booed the villain, you threw popcorn at
Oh my
him,
gosh.
and for the hero you hurrah'd him, like a vaudeville type of thing. It was so much fun, and I went there a few times. I took some people with me too. But yeah, that mustache makes me think of that.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you one thing. My only complaint about this movie is I'm not wild about the butt shots, because that's twice that the camera has been at butt/crotch area and hovered there for a bit. And he just tried to pull a bait and switch. But oh my.
Well, I
didn't
think
see-
he was very specific
I know.
about what he wanted, right?
Did you see him move the glass?
Oh yeah, but I know that they were supposed to be poisoned, right?
Yep.
Just
Well,
being very careful.
The two English travelers, they also deny seeing her.
don't ever drink anything the villain gives you. That's
No.
rule of thumb.
Now look at that shot
Yeah,
right
that's-
on the glasses. Even though you still see the guy talking,
That's a
It's
great
like-
shot.
the glasses are big and bold and right there in front of you.
That's a great shot.
And that one's just been drunk. So emphasizing the view of those glasses is really interesting. See, I mean, like
He's
he's acting
wearing
like he's
Does he not notice the gloves? Nobody. Why is he wearing driving gloves on a train?
Go ahead. And may our enemies
No, only on one hand.
oh,
What is he,
That
Michael
is-
Jackson?
that is odd.
Yeah. Yeah, you're in for it now, folks.
Oh well, he has the other glove in his other hand, but once again, why is he wearing
Yeah,
gloves?
see, yeah.
Oh, look at that smirk he has.
We know what he did. We saw him.
Mhm. And once again, he plays the nice guy, but
Well, this is a common theme of movies today too. So many of these elements have held up and are still being used in movies today.
it's true.
Why? Because they work.
It's very true.
They work. The big reveal of the who's the villain.
Yeah.
And us trying to figure it out along the way. Face it, people love to figure that out. You know, I know I've been to movies and people are like, "Oh, I knew it right from here," and it's like there's something satisfying about figuring out before the big reveal
Uh-huh.
of who it is, what it is, and he's left us clues all the way through
Oh, absolutely.
to tie this all together without being obvious and insulting your intelligence.
Right.
Master filmmaking.
I mean, just like think about when the waiter brought the drinks
Yeah.
over, and the look that the two villains
He-
essentially gave to each other.
Yeah, he's because they said he was in on it. Well, say that
the
is,
whole
that is an unfortunate.
there's a gun in my pocket.
Yeah, he's not happy to see them.
You are very alert, young.
That's an unfortunate angle.
Oh,
Even Hitchcock wasn't perfect, but yeah, of course. Again, people are a lot more innocent than we are now. We're sitting here, we're being leches about it, but still.
so he's just telling them, oh yeah, you've been poisoned.
Well, how is it in the comedies they do that now about thrillers that the villain explains everything, right?
Right.
Don't explain, just do it.
Right.
In a very few moments now, you will join your young.
Well, I guess luckily he wasn't trying to kill them because they're obviously not dead.
Right. No, just put him till they can move ahead. He was faking.
Come on, let's get going.
So they do think that she still has
Yeah.
the poison in her, so she has to keep moving around.
You can't do that.
Carry on. Touch it. Stand on your head. Do anything. Give it up for us.
Michael Redgrave mumbles a bit.
Like he kind of like talks pretty fast.
He does. That's how he
Mumbly.
got that joke buzz.
That's true.
That was the other one.
Multiple times now. So.
Yeah.
You heard it. I didn't even hear it. Ooh. Ah! He almost got hit by that train.
Yeah, he did.
I think he lost an arm.
See, now I think that's about as close as we're going to get to one of the big Hitchcock scenes. You know, where
Yes.
like North by Northwest.
Like the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah,
kind
the
of scene.
Mount Rushmore.
Well, yeah, I agree. I think that's probably the most dramatic. I mean, I know there's some things that happen later, but I feel like that is like a Mount Rushmore type scene there.
Okay, he's unwrapping.
You haven't been drugged.
Okay, so they haven't been drugged. That's good.
You want to save her, you've got to hurry.
Well, and now she's like, go ahead and save her because she's English.
Yeah.
That's the only
Well, I don't
reason.
think she wanted to be complicit in the murder, did she? I don't know.
No, but you
Who
know,
knows?
the fact that it was now an English woman that like brought it all to new light.
Yeah. Or she was just wearing a nun costume. Okay, she's getting ready to tell us.
Oh no, she's not a nun. Oh,
There's that woman that goes around giving
Frau-
everybody dirty looks.
it's like Frowny Face.
Frau Frowny face. He was in on it.
Oh yeah,
The magician / Italian guy.
he's talking about how she like
Pulled
pulled his
his
ears.
ears. What a big baby.
I need more money. She pulled my ears.
Oh my goodness. What a big baby.
I mean, he's opening his wallet, so you know there is that. Oh, there she is, moving around.
He slapped her on her behind.
Oh,
You'd
my-
never get away with that now. She didn't even complain or slap him back. What a hoe.
Well, the nun's putting on her makeup, so
Well, it's important
it is.
to look good for God.
You're still drugged out.
Really, some of these angles are a little unfortunate. The way he just picked her up out of his lap, it's like, wow.
Oh yeah.
Oh well, like
I
I say,
mean, are we overly thinking some of these? Because
Well,
I mean, but think about all these other scenes.
I know. I'm just a little Beavis and Buttheady about it. And some of them, I know.
No. Like thinking about like the two gentlemen in the bed, right?
Well, no, I didn't.
Thinking about some of these, like you gotta maybe
Maybe they're,
maybe
we're
there's
sure
a little bit of that, right?
innocent, but there's a few times where it's like, I'm not so sure it's innocent.
Yeah.
I mean, Hitchcock was a little bit of a latch.
No.
Anybody that worked out,
I mean, hello. One of the first scenes was legs.
I-
Oh, and like when the waiter or whatever came to lift her up. I mean, that lifted her whole slip up too. So we're seeing a little bit more than just like.
well, Tippi Hedren had lots to say about how he was, and
Yeah.
he was not virtuous. Let's put it that way.
Oh,
And he'd have been part of the Me Too movement today.
oh, I'm sure.
I'm sorry you've had such an uncomfortable journey, Miss Croy.
She didn't do a very good job of wrapping her face.
Well, they
There's
were in
like
a hurry.
a lock of hair still sticking out.
Well, they were in a hurry.
But I mean, come on. It was pretty evident that that's
Yeah.
a massive lock of hair that's not covered.
Yeah. He's been had.
He is not a happy camper.
Nope.
I'm looking at signs to see if I can recognize any of like the languages.
Yeah.
It just I don't recognize any of it. But like, are we in Italy? Where are we? Again?
They said there was going to be a stop, and it started with an M, but don't quote me on what it was. They seem like they're still in the Alps, so
Well, the doctor obviously has some clout because he just
He
got
does.
them to take a train or part of a train.
he's got quite a few people in his back pocket.
Yeah. I feel like when you say I know too much, that's when you get killed.
Yeah. You're just what a dumb thing to say.
You're just asking for someone to come and like
Oh yeah, it's
murder
like I
you.
know too much. You can't kill me. That's why you kill me.
That's why you kill the person. Yeah.
Shut up. Same.
Oh.
The same ones that go, I'll tell the police. Yeah, you're not gonna last much longer after that.
That yell. Oh, there he is. Oh, that other train's going by fast.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, so much. She's lying so much. Miss Froy, come on.
Nobody's kidnapping governesses,
No,
or is it governor?
I don't know. Right.
Well,
They're
everything
not
stops
gonna like kidnap a governess just because.
Yeah.
There has to be a reason. Whether she knows the reason or not is a different story.
Well, now they know where
Yeah.
to find everybody at the same time. It's tea time.
Of
And
course.
everybody
It
knows
must
that
be,
the English,
must be 4 o'clock or whatever.
yeah,
for tea.
English stop the world starts revolving. Then you stop everything they're doing when it's tea time.
What are you dribbling about? How is it a ridiculous story? She was
She's
missing
standing
and
right
now
there.
she's there.
Well, I didn't hear a gunshot. I just heard a woman scream. So I guess that's the end of the air quote none.
Oh no, wait, there she is.
Oh, she's not been shot.
No, but I was trying to figure out who was the one that screamed, which makes sense. It was the nun that screamed. But I wonder, like, what happened, right? Yeah, it doesn't look like she got shot.
I wouldn't be drinking anything out of a wine glass anytime soon if I were her.
It could be poisoned.
They have what?
They've said that multiple times now. They can't do anything to us because we're British subjects, or, you know, we're in a different country. Why does it matter? Because we're English.
Yeah, well, you know how the English are. And again, English people do not write in. I'm not anti-English people.
I think it's definitely, you know, when you do look at some of the older films, that
Yeah.
that does tend to play out, right? We're English, you know, you don't have authority over us.
Right. Very independent people.
English being a very important language that everyone would be able to speak.
I don't understand the language, and it may be important. Would you?
Wow, that was a massive chair to be thrown on top of that guy.
Yeah.
I'm surprised no one's eye got poked out with the chair leg.
Now put your eye out, kid.
Exactly.
I don't believe the man's explanation was quite satisfactory. Things like this might cause a war.
Is that a inkling of something going on in the future? But this is
Maybe.
what, 38,
Maybe this
right?
is what happened.
38. Oh.
Now that's they missed him, right?
No, he got shot in the hand, but he got a graze.
Wow, what a trooper! He gets shot in the hand, and this is one of the two guys. This is Charcot, and you know they've been in a pretty integral part of this plot, and I cannot remember their name.
It's Charters and Caldecott.
Caldecott. So remember that they've been a very interesting part of this movie. He gets shot in the hand. Now I'm not sure which one he is. Is he's
I don't know which one.
But
is
he's
which.
one of those two guys.
He's the guy that has the scar in his
and he
cheek.
gets shot, and he just stands there a second, walks back in, and goes, "Yep, you were right."
No, I don't remember as part of the plot line if he was like in the army beforehand, or and that's how he got his face.
I don't remember, but
I feel like he had some kind of, or maybe that's just the like what I'm like when I look at him, I kind of see that him as like, okay, like he was a soldier at one point,
right. So now we have all the good guys amassed on one side, all the bad guys amassed on the other. And again, this dynamic has happened multiple times. You have the one guy that's always scared and, kind of like on Aliens, it's always trying to figure out a way to get out of the whole situation because he's just whines about being scared the entire time. But this is when the romance is over here with the adulterous affair.
Oh, absolutely.
Your wife can have you, babe.
Yeah, she can see him for what he really is. I think it was about to end sooner rather than later. So
I think the writing was on the wall. And then of course, you have the woman who is always just
I think he's like one of the few guys that actually is holding the gun
correctly.
fairly well. He's all. I guess Gilbert's doing an okay job, although he first started kind of flicking his hand around.
Yeah.
And I think everyone's closing their eyes when they shoot.
Yeah, just did I hit anything? It is the 6-shooter with 16 bullets.
Is it 1 + 1 + 1 + 3?
No. 2 + 1 + 3 + no. 4 + 2 + 1 + 2.
Oh, okay. Trying to figure out how many bullets there were. Okay.
Yes. Hopefully everybody knows that reference. If not, you'll know later in one of the seasons. So
Absolutely.
it's a classic.
Okay, so Miss Froy is now revealing a lot about herself.
Yes.
And the whole reason when we talked about that musician and why she's paying so much
The guy
attention
underneath her
to the
window,
guy.
she wasn't just getting serenaded. She was listening to the music, to the notes. He was telling her something through the music.
Yeah. So she's a spy.
Yes. We now know that
Well,
she's not a governess.
Well, and it makes sense, like, why she was so upset when she couldn't pay attention. And, she was kind of, every time the note was being hit, she was kind of hitting her hand on, going, okay, this is this note, that note. And she's trying to memorize it. And, of course, then Gilbert with his people dancing above distracted that.
So now
but it's okay, because the musician was singing the same, 4 notes for, the next 30 minutes.
Sense now, because at the time you're like, good Lord, why is this scene still going on? And see, once again, it all plays into it. So Miss Froy is a spy, not a governess.
Well,
and he's currently tossing her out a window. She's giving her a brown bag lunch.
Purse. Make sure she has her purse there.
Oh, that wasn't a brown bag
She runs
lunch.
pretty fast.
For an old lady, yeah. So that wasn't a brown bag lunch.
Okay, I don't think that is her, but...
Probably not. She's 72 years old in this, so...
And she just jumped into a ravine, so...
Yeah. A 12-shooter. Wow. Probably a good idea to stay near the floor, but what do I know? I've never been shot at, so...
And away from the windows.
Away from the windows, down on the floor.
Definitely not on that side of the shooting side.
See, she's a smart one. Our heroine in this is a smart one. Her butt's sitting on the ground behind a table. Now that's smart.
I think so. Is it just the engine in that car? Or I think there were a couple cars, right? I mean, move to a different car. Oh, he didn't even get a chance to wave his white flag in truce. Well, I think once again, like that close up of the white handkerchief. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Just with the wine glasses, emphasizing, but in not a showy way, right? It's in a very quiet way.
Notice there's no blood. There's still a little bit of blood flowing down on his hand, so you could tell he'd been shot. But otherwise, you can't even tell where they were shot.
Well, I mean, that's kind of typical for this country. It's
probably make
someone gets shot and they're like, oh, they're holding their stomach. You never see blood, right? Well, they're gone.
Now, not movies. Now it's like you see
too much.
Yeah. Hold it together, ladies.
Ooh. Oh, they're moving.
Let's get back in front of the window so they can shoot at us some more.
Oh, they're going backwards. Oh, see? I told you. He got shot. There's no blood. He just randomly shot. And, of course, they got both the engineers of the train.
Well, they have to so they can have this big climatic scene. Wow. So they're expendable.
That's true.
Collateral damage. Now, these two guys, the hero, and which we don't know whether it's Charters or we got to figure that one out at some point. This is either Charters or
if anybody knows which is which,
yes,
let us know on Instagram or X or what have you. Facebook.
I don't want to Google it. That there's another one of those butt shots. I always wanted to be able to say necessary.
Necessary.
It will not be necessary. One day.
Yeah, I feel like the two guys...
He's my favorite of the two, just so you know.
I do feel like they definitely were probably in the military or something. That's maybe where they became friends, was through the military. Just their demeanor and how they're handling the situation, right?
Right.
Yes, they're all into cricket, blah, blah, blah. That's really important. And that might be the thing that made them friends, right? Is all about the cricket. But I think the way that they're doing stuff. Charters? So that's cool.
That's Caldecott. So the ones in the engine, he's like, where the hell is Charters? Or Charters. Okay, so now we know. The guy with the scar is Charters, and Caldecott is the squirt, the little guy.
Okay.
He was the bottom. Where's he the top? He was the bottom.
Here's the bottom. Oh, the nun got shot.
Well, they got awfully close. Hey, they drove those same cars in Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Right? Am I right?
Yeah, it looked like it. That's so strange. It's like, oh well, we didn't get him. Good luck with them.
But is there going to be somebody at the other side?
So remember, she's coming back. Iris is coming back home to get married.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Oh, and also keep your eyes peeled. Remember, there's a cameo.
We haven't seen her cameo yet. Hitchcock had a cameo in every single movie. Blink and you missed it.
Yeah, this one's pretty quick, so I think it took us a while to figure out where it was. Oh, the bobbies with their hat. There he is. Oh,
There
he shrugs his shoulder while smoking a cigarette.
And his hair he still had hair and it was black. But he was still bald with black hair.
So all this worry to get back to watch the cricket game, and
it was flooded
out. There was some very good chemistry between those two.
Yes, there was. Yeah, he looks like a weenie. Her fiance. That's how you shut every woman up, isn't it? In the 40s, so 30s and 40s,
smooches.
You just lip locked them.
Yep.
Every woman got lip locked. Even Betty Davis. I think particularly Betty Davis, the only way you could get her to shut up. Oh, look, they're in love.
Oh, so happy. Well, come on.
But they got married. They got married,
you
right?
haven't heard him whistling this tune for the last how many days or hours? So you wouldn't have remembered any of it either?
Right.
Pay attention, lady.
Yeah.
Your husband to be, or if he is a husband,
I think they already got married.
His whole life is about music. Get with it.
They got married, I think.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Somewhere. These people.
Well, and anyway, she needs to pay attention. He's
Yeah.
a musicologist, so she needs to be paying attention to music.
There's Miss Froy.
So one of the interesting things is that, so from the book for Miss Froy, so she wasn't a spy. She was actually a governess, and the only reason why she was kidnapped was because her employer, who was like kind of like a politician essentially, happened to be home when he was supposed to be away, and that was his alibi, that he was supposed to be away from his house, his home. So she wanted to make sure that she said goodbye to him before she went home to England to see her parents. And yes, she was still old then too. So her parents are like in their 80s or 90s or whatever. But in any case, it's not until like you see like there's a newspaper that's left. And in the newspaper, this employer that she's mentioned, the name is like in this newspaper. And then you're going, aha, this is why she got kidnapped, because she essentially could have discredited this guy, her employer, and his alibi, because essentially he killed somebody. So his alibi is he was never around. He killed like a political rival. They're saying, oh, he did it, but I couldn't have, right? I was never in the area. But she can discredit that. So that's kind of, the difference, at least the big difference for Miss Froy in terms of, yes, in this film here, she was a spy. In the original story, she actually wasn't. But there's a lot of the same kind of storylines that kind of align with that.
Right.
So...
Well, I like this version. I like the spy. It gives a little bit more depth and twists, more opportunity for twists and turns, I think.
So, that's the end of the film. So just kind of curious what your thoughts were on, so I know you were saying like you really enjoyed the spy aspect of it.
I did. I think the most, I'm always, the most compelling thing to me is always Hitchcock's detail, his eye for detail.
Mm-hmm.
He was known for that, and how he could weave a story together and again leave all the little clues all the way through a movie that if you pay attention you can put everything together at the end without it being obvious or being too obtuse where you don't know what's going on. But I think my what I learned the most from the movie today is about the shadows. I'm really intrigued about that, and then being able to watch and see how the playing with that. The dark, bad characters are in the dark light, And I think that's been used a lot in movies too. And I keep referencing that. But to me, when you know you have a great director is when when their work is still, we're talking almost a century ago now, getting close to it. So,
Yeah.
but this movie still holds up. It doesn't seem, because a lot of movies at that time period feel a little overacted, a little hacky. It holds up, and one of the reasons it holds up is there's so many elements that are still used. The romantic comedy, the twists, the cinematography, and all of these things. Some of these things Hitchcock invented. The dollies, when you were asking about how they did the
the trains,
but using moving dollies to get different perspectives that you wouldn't, using perspectives from the character outward. Just so many elements that are used today that I think, so it's like foundation of the cinema we watch today that wouldn't be there if it weren't for him.
And I think that's very true. I mean, when you think about cinema, especially early cinema, like, it was very stationary. And so you kind of always saw it from one viewpoint, but being able to see it from different viewpoints, from different perspectives, I think is what makes it unique. And just even like how they use the imagery of like, the glass it's not even focused on the glass, but the glass is there and it's there, not moving. It's quite large. So it was obviously, you're going to see it, but you're really, the film's actually focused on the guy talking. But you're really paying attention to the glass. You're kind of paying attention to both, but you're like, ooh, but that glass is lingering there.
Yeah, there's so much to see. But the overarching thing, I think of all in summary, is in this movie, and is it real or is it a dream? You're left wondering for a while. You're left wondering because there's I liken it to, and this is a little more on the spectrum. It was A Beautiful Mind pulled off this trick, and a little more elaborately, but still into the same genre of, you're left wondering if is his reality, is it true? It's just that we're the ones that have it all wrong. Is this, it turns out that no, I was left wondering the entire time. And this movie, I think, stands out so much because of that kind of dream. And even when they do the little fuzzy circular, it was in a ton of movies after that of, like, ooh, they do the dream sequence. And, there's actually just like 3 parts, and then she passes out again, and she wakes up, and now we're in stage 3, and it's just, they keep you wondering until finally, and if you think about it, we are not supposed to believe until Michael Redgrave's character starts believing. Then it's okay for us to believe, right? So that's the favorite part of the movie, is that, is it or isn't? Is this a dream or is it reality? And that is always fun in movies, and it just keeps you engaged. Because let's face it, if it weren't that element, the rest of it's funny and it's good acting and it's all these things, but that's what pins all of it together, is the intrigue and just and it doesn't fall apart, right? So you have where once you find out that it's for real, it can fall apart very quickly after that. It's like, okay, I'm lost. Now you get into the intrigue of the spy. That's why I like that spy so much. Now you've got, you've got the shootout, you've got the spy. You've still got more movie left. And that's what, and I think that what makes Hitchcock so great, is there's just so many elements. And again, the overarching of, playing with the truth, which he liked to do a lot of. Nobody is 100% truthful. No situations are 100% how they seem. And he seemed to know that better than anybody.
Well, just kind of going back to the dream, is this reality or is it a dream? So one thing is that in the book itself, at the end, so she's actually knocked out. She is drugged and she's knocked out. And so finding Miss Froy, all this kind of wrap up is done while she's sleeping, and she wakes up and it's all wrapped up. It's kind of interesting keeping that kind of in mind. Obviously, it wouldn't make for a very good film. Right. Because it's like, okay, I woke up, I fell asleep and I woke up, the end. Yeah. But it kind of almost connects those two pieces then, from the film and also from the book, as potentially like, is this a dream or is this reality? But another thing makes me think of like philosophy class where, and I don't know which philosopher, it's been many, many years, but it was like, the philosophy is like, is this reality or are we living our dream life right now? And what you dream is actually true, the truth.
Well,
do you know, right?
Is this the Matrix?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm saying you can run this threads through so many different ways and know that directors, present day directors and directors out through cinematic history have used these particular threads. This is, that has to be there. What audience put themselves in a seat, pay for a movie ticket for a very certain type of experience.
Mm-hmm.
And, and they don't want to see their life played out on the screen, which our life is what it is. So there, playing with those type of realities and playing with those type of tropes are super important to, to keep bringing us back to the theater. Sometimes you have to suspend disbelief a little bit, sometimes a little bit, a teeny tiny bit, but I will have to, say most of the time, except for maybe some of the climactic scenes in his movies, he kept it pretty real. I mean, could this happen? Pretty much. Is there some, is there still some silliness in there? I'm with you. Some of these ones I was like, wow, I think they were purposeful. Nobody does that many butt shots if it's not on purpose. And I'm not trying to. It's just the truth. I noticed it's like he did at an angle from. I don't think it was sexual. I'm not even insinuating that, but there's a reason for it because, from what I understand, there was a reason for every single solid thing he did. He was so much, mercurial about it that he would teach his actors to be blank faced. Don't make any expressions. Let the camera do the work for you. So that's a guy. I can't believe that anything. I don't know the reason for it. I've never read the reason for that type of thing. But there was nothing that he did that wasn't purposeful in that movie, and you can tell single thing was done on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it holds up. It's going to be a classic forever. I wish they'd stop redoing it some of these movies sometimes because sometimes you just it's better to always go back to the original source material, right?
Yeah.
Some things just need to be left alone.
I will say I should have just stuck with the original rather than the 1970s version.
Yeah,
that was very disappointing. So don't worry, don't watch it.
So thank you for saving 2 hours of my life. I do appreciate that.
Like I said, I think that the latest one is more interesting, but only if you're interested in seeing like how it's portrayed from the book itself. If you're not, then that's
Yeah.
And if you enjoy the original as this is, then I'd say just stick with this then.
I do.
Because it does change it a bit, It changes, like I said, in this movie, Iris is a lot nicer, kinder kind of personality.
Yeah, well, I don't want to root for a woman who's kind of we had that in The Adulteress. She was annoying enough for everybody, right? And then you have, of course, the faux nun came around eventually because, it was okay to murder until she found out she was British.
I mean, in general, I felt like the characters were a lot more unlikable than in this film. So
yeah,
it is something
and you got to remember, there is something psychological to it still, where people want to see a happy ending in a movie, and particularly back then, you really didn't. You see more now that directors play around with having that don't know what happened ending, or there is an unpleasant ending. We still don't like it. I know I don't.
Yeah, I don't like that.
But back then, it was almost like mandatory that the good guy had to win. Mm-hmm. People wanted to see the good guy win,
because you want to hurrah him.
This pre-war, during the war, the good guy needs to win. That was super important when the world was filled with bad guys and becoming the world was becoming a darker place at this point. So, so yeah, and we want the hero to save the day. So I don't think I would have wanted to watch this if it was just a bunch of jerks mulling around on a train all day. Right?
I agree. I agree. Okay, so to summarize today's podcast, we tasted the 2022 Traminette from Mazzaroth Vineyard, which is located in Middletown, Maryland, near Frederick. We ended up pairing that wine with the classic, the Lady Vanishes, and that was created in 1938. And it was this movie was based off of the novel called The Will Spins by Ethelena White. The novel came out in 1936.
So, as you know, I've mentioned several times it was directed by Alfred Hitchcock, who was known as the master of suspense. He directed about over 50 films, famously made a cameo in all his films. Today's film was at the end and Victoria Station when they got back to there. And his innovative techniques and storytelling have left a lasting impact on cinema.
Absolutely. The topics that we discussed for this episode included, obviously there were a lot of differences between the book, the original film, and the remake, so we kind of touched on some of those differences. Obviously, the kidnapping of Miss Froy was very key in the film, as well as the witness reliability. So essentially, this idea that when those that we believe to be trustworthy actually lie, they kind of reshape the reality.
Right.
So with that, we want to thank you for joining us for today's episode. Please join us next time as we explore another classic crime film and its perfect wine pairing. Be sure to check out previous episodes on the Booby Trap podcast. You can ask Siri, Alexa, Google for quick access. We're found on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and more. You can also follow us on Instagram, X, and Facebook platforms, as well as YouTube, actually.
Yeah, and when you do that on one of those social platforms, we're going to have a trivia. I want to throw in a trivia question to make it interesting. And that is, if you could go to one of those platforms and tell us what the name of the magician was in the movie. Let's kind of see if you were really paying attention. Actually watch the movie and tell us what the answer to the question is.
Well, until next time, cheers!
Cheers!